You are standing outside a cave 15,000 years ago. It is freezing. You haven't eaten in 2 days, and somewhere in the frozen dark, an Ice Age wolf is watching you. Not hunting you, just watching. Every night it creeps a little closer. It isn't looking at you, it's looking at the scraps of bone and fat beside your fire. You have a choice. Chase it away like your ancestors did, or leave the scraps and see what happens. That simple choice was the most consequential decision in human history. It didn't just change how we ate, it changed how we lived, fought, built cities, and spread disease. Most people think domestication was a flash of human genius, an ancient farmer capturing a wild beast and taming it. But adult wolves do not tame, and keeping a wild predator in an Ice Age camp would have been suicide. The real story is stranger. Humans didn't tame wolves. Wolves domesticated themselves. Hunter-gatherers were messy. Even during hard winters, they left behind piles of cracked marrow bones and unwanted lean meat. To a wolf trying to survive the Ice Age, a human camp was a goldmine of predictable calories. Aggressive wolves that charged the camp were speared. Terrified wolves stayed far away and starved. But a tiny minority of wolves had a genetic quirk, an altered brain chemistry that made them slightly less anxious and slightly less aggressive. This is where your brain's chemistry enters the picture. Picture a tiny, personified brain cell boss sitting inside the wolf's head, wearing a little hard hat and holding a clipboard. Every time the wolf takes a step toward the fire instead of running, the brain cell boss slams a giant red button labeled dopamine, dumping reward chemicals into the wolf's system. The brain cell boss screams, "I don't care that they don't have fur. They have warm fat. Keep walking." These calmer wolves ate, survived, and bred with other calm wolves. Over hundreds of generations, evolution filtered wolves by personality. Anthropologists call this survival of the friendliest. In return for scraps, these wolves gave humans something vital, an early warning system against bears and rival groups in the dark. This relationship quickly became more than just survival. At a 14,000-year-old grave in Bonn-Oberkassel, Germany, archaeologists found a human buried alongside a 7-month-old puppy. Analysis revealed the puppy had suffered from severe canine distemper. It was bedridden for weeks and provided zero practical benefit. No hunting, no guarding. Yet Ice Age humans spent precious time and food nursing it through sickness before burying it with honor. Domestication had shifted from utility to true attachment. Archaeologist Melinda Zeter identified 3 distinct pathways that brought animals into our world. First is the commensal pathway. Animals were drawn to human camps for food. Wolves started here, and cats followed thousands of years later. When humans invented farming 10,000 years ago, stored grain created massive rodent problems. Wild cats realized villages were an all-you-can-eat mouse buffet. Cats domesticated themselves, solved our pest problem, and barely changed their DNA. Second is the prey pathway. Humans hunted wild species like goats, sheep, and cattle, gradually shifting from hunting them to managing their herds, controlling their breeding, and harvesting their milk. Third is the directed pathway. Humans deliberately captured wild animals for specific purposes, like taming horses for transport and warfare. Once humans saw how useful managed animals were, we tried domesticating everything, and we failed miserably. Almost every wild species on Earth is undomesticable. To turn a wild beast into a farm animal or pet, it has to pass 6 brutal evolutionary tests, what scientists call the Anna Karenina principle of domestication. 1. Diet. It must be cheap to feed. Raising a lion requires killing 5 cows just to feed 1 predator, which makes no sense. 2. Growth rate. An elephant takes 15 years to grow up. No ancient farmer could wait a decade and a half just to get 1 load of cargo moved. 3. Nasty disposition. Zebras look like horses, but they are notoriously vicious. They bite, refuse to let go, and kick hard enough to snap a lion's jaw. The zebras said no. 4. Tendency to panic. A scared gazelle doesn't huddle. It runs 90 miles an hour directly into a wooden fence, breaking its own neck. Domestic animals must freeze or herd when frightened. 5. Social structure. Animals must follow a dominant alpha. Humans killed the alpha wolf or wild ram, stepped into the leadership role, and the herd followed. 6. Breeding in captivity. Many animals refuse to mate when watched. Cheetahs require miles-long running chases across open plains to trigger ovulation. Put them in a pen, and breeding stops entirely. Out of millions of species, only about 14 large mammals passed all 6 tests. And when we selected for tameness, an unexpected biological secret was unlocked. In 1959, Soviet geneticist Dmitry Belyaev began breeding wild silver foxes, selecting strictly for tameness. Within generations, the foxes wagged their tails and licked hands like dogs. But mysteriously, their physical bodies changed too. Their ears went floppy, their tails curled, their snouts shortened, and white patches appeared on their fur. This suite of physical traits is called domestication syndrome. Selecting for tameness reduces the activity of neural crest cells, stem cells that control both adrenaline glands, fear, and physical structures like ear cartilage and facial bones. By choosing the calmest animals, humans accidentally altered their entire physical blueprint. Fascinatingly, many scientists believe humans did the exact same thing to ourselves. Primatologist Richard Wrangham argues that Homo sapiens is a self-domesticated species. Compared to ancient Neanderthals, modern humans have flatter faces, smaller skulls, and reduced brow ridges, the exact markers of domestication syndrome. Over tens of thousands of years, early human communities cooperated to punish or exile violently aggressive bullies. By eliminating impulsive violence, we bred ourselves for calm, cooperative behavior. We domesticated dogs, but we domesticated ourselves first. Eventually, domestication became our greatest power and our worst curse. When humans domesticated the horse, we unlocked high-speed mobile warfare. Pairing calmer, strong-backed horses with spoke-wheeled chariots allowed ancient empires to conquer vast territories. Meanwhile, living permanently alongside livestock rewrote human biology and medical history. Drinking cow's milk forced adult humans to evolve a persistent lactase mutation to survive famines. But sharing air, dust, and waste with millions of animals birthed modern medicine's worst nightmares. Roughly 60% of all human infectious diseases are zoonotic, meaning they jumped from animals to humans. Measles came from cattle. Influenza came from pigs and ducks. Smallpox came from livestock. The plagues that wiped out millions across history, the Black Death, the 1918 flu, COVID-19, are all downstream consequences of our ancestors' choice to live alongside livestock. Domestication made civilization possible, but it also made global pandemics inevitable. Domestication was never a single flash of human genius. It was a 40,000-year-long negotiation, written in mutual benefit, evolutionary accidents, and genetic trade-offs. Humans didn't invent domestication. Domestication invented humans. It turned us from scattered bands of hunter-gatherers into farmers, city builders, and the dominant species on Earth. Tonight, a dog is curling up on a couch. A cat is ignoring its owner across the room, and a glass of milk sits in your fridge. You aren't just living in a modern society, you are living inside a 40,000-year-old biological pact. And that conversation between species is still going on today.